All right, picture this. Your wedding day. The ceremony's done, you're ready to party, but that amazing train on your dress.
Yeah, it needs a little magic, right? That's where wedding dress bustles come in. And wow, you might be surprised what all goes into them. We're going deep on bustles today, using this article from Darianna Bridal and Tuxedo.
Bustles, though, they're not just like a practical thing you gotta do. They're really where function meets style. And get this, they've got a pretty interesting history.
I am so ready for this. So
Right.
what should our listener walk away knowing by the end?
Okay, they'll understand the two main types, American and French bustles, and when to use which. And we'll even look at some alternatives, if the whole buttons and hooks thing isn't for you. Plus, we gotta touch on how bustles evolved, because who knew they had such a past, right?
Okay, so basics first. What is a bustle and why is it so important on the big day? Well, think about it. You've got this incredible dress with a long train, perfect for that walk down the aisle. But then dancing time. You don't want to trip or have guests stepping on your dream dress all night, right? So a bustle, it gathers that train up, keeps it secure so you're free to move, show off the dress's details, and no wardrobe malfunctions.
It's like a quick change act for your dress. You mentioned American and French bustles. Is there a simple way to tell them apart?
Totally. The American, you'll see the hooks and buttons. They're on the outside of the skirt. It's all about that lifted look, almost like tears, adding volume, drama. Real showstopper. French bustle, though. Hidden buttons underneath. Super sleek, seamless, like elegance, but subtle.
Ooh, I can already picture the difference. So, American's the wow factor, French is more classic, understated.
You got it. Now, remember that Victorian bustle I mentioned? You would believe how different those were. Huge, with padding, sometimes even cages underneath. All about showing off wealth.
Wow, talk about a statement. It's amazing how bustles changed over the years. Went from a status thing to practical and stylish.
Right. Shows how wedding fashion adapts.
Mm.
Reflects the times and the bride's personality.
Let's dig into American bustles more, since they're most common. The article says they're great for A-line or ball gowns. Makes sense, those dresses are already full and voluminous.
Yeah, you're getting it. Those styles, perfect for the American bustle because the hardware just blends right in with all the details, the embellishments,
Mhm.
like it was made for them.
But a dress with a super long train, like cathedral length, how much fabric is that to bustle up?
Good point.
Yeah.
Sometimes you need multiple bustle points to keep it secure, stop it dragging, like a whole system of hooks and loops put in just the right spots for that perfect lift.
So it's not just one button and you're done. You might have, what, 5, 10 bustle points?
Could be. Depends on the train length, how heavy the fabric is, the overall design. It's kind of complex, but a good seamstress, they work wonders.
Now I'm picturing a bride backstage at a fashion show, getting bustled by, like, a whole team.
Maybe not that elaborate,
Yeah.
but it takes skill, attention to detail. Got to be smooth, polished, let the bride shine.
Speaking of polished, let's do the French bustle. This is all about subtlety, right?
Absolutely. Think like these delicate loops hidden under the skirt, gathering the fabric, but it cascades gently, not a big lift. You get this soft, flowing effect. So pretty.
I see why the article says it's good for simple fabrics like satin, silk, crepe. You wouldn't want hardware distracting from those.
Right. It's about that fabric being the star, how it drapes, how it moves, that effortless chic vibe. The French bustle nails it.
And probably good for dresses with simpler shapes too, like column or sheath. Wouldn't want to overwhelm a sleek design with too much bustling.
Exactly. French bustle complements those perfectly.
Ah.
Subtle, sophisticated doesn't take over the dress. It's about that balance, practical and beautiful. Like it's picking the right accessory right. It should add to the look, not steal the show.
I love that. So we've got our American, the drama queen, and our French, misunderstated. But what if a bride's like, bustles are cool, but show me something different?
Oh, there are some awesome alternatives out there. Each one's got its own thing going on. It really depends on what the bride likes and what works with her dress.
Okay, let's start with the wrist loop. I'm already picturing it. Bride twirling on the dance floor, holding her train with this cute little loop. So romantic.
It is. Adds a little whimsy, right? But it's not just looks. Wrist loop can be super practical, especially if the fabric's light, train's not too long. Gives the bride more control, no dragging or stepping on it.
I bet it helps with a really AJY train too, or even a bunch of bustle points aren't enough.
You're right. Sometimes the fabric's weight is a factor. And a wrist loop, it's just more secure. Plus, gotta admit, it's a fun way to get that princess vibe going.
Totally. And speaking of practical, the article mentions hemming the train, or even no train at all.
Those are definitely for brides who are all about comfort, moving freely. You want to dance all night, you might not want that train trailing behind you.
It's that balance again, style and being able to move. Sometimes less IS, more. But this next alternative, this is for brides who want it all the overskirt. Talk about a transformation. You've got the amazing train for the ceremony, then poof, gone. Sleek look underneath for the party.
It's genius, right? 2 looks, 1 dress, grand entrance A&D, ready to dance.
Like a 2-for-1 deal. And the article says it's good for outdoor weddings too, so your train's not dragging through the grass or whatever.
Exactly. Flexible, practical, but still stylish.
And finally, the statement veil. This is all about that entrance, isn't it?
Big time. Perfect for the bride who wants that unforgettable walk down the aisle. Adds drama, elegance, a little mystery even. And then, just like the overskirt, off it comes for the reception. You're free to move.
So it all comes down to, like, what reflects your style, what your wedding vision is, whether it's a classic bustle, a cute wrist loop, or going all out with an overskirt. It's about feeling amazing and confident.
Right. And, things happen. That's why the article says safety pins always have them, just in case.
Oh yeah, a button pops, a loop comes undone. It's like your wedding day first aid kit.
Exactly. Speaking of things happening, I once saw this bustle, all planned perfectly, and right before the bride's entrance, bam, gone. Her heel caught the fabric, the whole thing came undone. But someone had a safety pin, quick fix, you couldn't even tell.
Safety pins, they're little heroes. Good reminder that even if you plan everything, sometimes you gotta improvise.
And speaking of planning, the article's big on that final dress fitting. That's when the seamstress shows the bride, maybe her mom or maid of honor too, how to do the bustle.
Like a dress rehearsal, I bet it can feel kind of overwhelming, especially with lots of bustle points.
For sure, which is why practicing is key. Everyone involved needs to know what they're doing, feel confident about it.
The article even says, take a video. So smart, like a cheat sheet on your phone.
No more guessing. Makes bustling smooth on the big day. You don't be fiddling with buttons when everyone's waiting for the first dance.
So, to sum it all up, we've gone deep on wedding dress bustles, classic American and French, to the fun alternatives, wrist loops, overskirts, all that. We've talked history, how they work, even why having a backup plan, hello, safety pins, is a good idea.
We saw how bustles went from status symbols to being practical A&D stylish.
Yeah.
Really important part of how a bride looks.
Yeah, and most of all, it's a personal choice, right? Bustle, no bustle, whatever works for the bride. For her vision of her day, that's what matters. It really is. Make her feel amazing, But before we wrap this up, I gotta ask, bustles have come so far from those crazy Victorian ones. What do you think? What's next for bustles?
Oh, man, that's a good one. Really makes you think, huh? I mean, look at how tech's changing everything. It's not hard to picture some wild new bustles coming soon.
Ooh, like self-bustling dresses. Step off the aisle, boop, button, trains all gathered up. Magic?
I love that. Or imagine, fabrics that change shape when you touch them. Goes from flowy train to sleek, just like that.
Now you've got me thinking sci-fi, clothes that adapt, like in the movies. Maybe someday brides will control their bustle with, like, a phone app. High-tech wedding.
Uh-huh. Who knows? But one thing's for sure, bustles are going to keep changing, right? Just like wedding traditions do over time.
So, listeners, we've reached the end of our bustle deep dive. Hopefully you're looking at this little detail a whole new way now. It's small, but it's a big part of the bride's day.
We covered it all. Practical, stylish, even the history. And there are so many options out there. Classic, creative, something for every bride to handle that train and get the look she wants.
And don't forget those practical tips. Safety pins are your friend, and that final fitting, take it seriously.
Yeah. Whether you're planning your own wedding or just love bridal fashion, there's always more to learn, right?
Absolutely. So as always, we want to hear from you. What surprised you about the different bustles? Got any favorite alternatives? And what do you think bustles will be like in the future? Tell us. Until next time, happy bustling and happy wedding planning, everyone.